Going into the weekend, I said that this was going to be the Pirates' first real test of the season. Go into Wrigley, see what happens in that three-game set. And you know what? You win two out of three. That's a good series. Anytime on the road. Can't help but feel like they might have left a little meat on the bone, though. Good morning, and welcome to Offbeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf. This is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates took two out of three in Wrigley. I laid out all the reasons why I thought this was a good early test for this club in the Friday episode. How they were going to be without their top two starters, how they were going to be facing a part of that Cubs rotation that they have traditionally struggled against, plus a newcomer in Edward Cabrera, how we were going to get some answers with some things like the offense, with the bullpen, with the back end of the starting pitching. And you know what? There are a lot of good grades to go around. The starters did great, all things considered. Like Carmen Mlodzinski, a little bit of a scare there, but you know what? Five and a third, no runs. You take that all the time from your number five starter. Braxton Ashcraft, he did what he has been doing, ever since he got a chance to be a starting pitcher. He set a new career high with 9 strikeouts, was really using his pitch mix, was throwing strikes. It's the type of stuff that you see Braxton do, and you think that he could be one of the best young pitchers on this team. And then Bubba Chandler. I mean, he did move away from the fastball. We saw more sliders, we saw more changeups. I would hesitate to call it a great start. It wasn't a quality start, but you know what? He got five and a third, and he left the game with his team in a solid spot to win the ball game. He was throwing strikes more, fewer walks. I looked at it as a step in the right direction. It's not going to be an instantaneous fix with him. That's fine. He showed that he can adjust. He wasn't just going to try to punch his way out of every issue with the fastball. He was going to use the slider. He was going to use the changeup. He was going to use it to set up. He's done a great job sequencing early this year. Like we have seen him come out of the gate in that first inning, and he's been solid, first inning or two, and then like he starts to lose it a little bit. There's still work to be done, but that was a good little taste of like, okay, he's going to be fine, in my opinion. And the offense, Oneil Cruz, up to an 11-game hitting streak, some big hits, including a home run on Sunday that could have been a game-winning hit. Brandon Lau, 2 home runs on Sunday. Reynolds homered. Like they got production from pretty much everyone in the lineup that they needed to. I know Friday was a 2-0 ball game, and then Saturday it had to be a little dribbler out in front of the plate in extra innings to win it. But they did enough. It's kind of what we've been saying this entire time of like, look, an average offense is all this team needs, all this starting rotation needs. They also need two other aspects to be average, and that's the bullpen and that's the defense. And Bryan Reynolds is having a rough time out in left right now, people. On Saturday, he made that diving attempt, almost caught it, bounced in and out of the glove. And you look at it, it's like, okay, that's a good effort. It was graded by StatCast as having an 85% catch probability. Now it's Wrigley. Those winds swirl. It's tough to play in. I get that. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus for this one particular case, but there have been a couple balls hit out to left field with high catch probabilities that just haven't been caught. And 85 is not guaranteed. I get that. But that ball against the Padres that had 99%, I'm still sticking with that. Like it's the ball in Cincinnati that he and Oneil Cruz nearly collided on. There's some stuff going on out there in left field that's difficult. And I brought up a couple times Marcell Ozuna gives the Pirates less flexibility in the outfield with their defense. And I always bring up what makes Ryan O'Hearn have to play right field instead of first base. Ryan O'Hearn has been by far their best defensive outfielder. I feel like I have to just say that because I feel like whenever I just say it as a fact, it's so dismissive of the hard work that he's done and the progress that he has made and just the good results that he has in the field right now. Like, I don't think he's going to be a Gold Glove nominee or anything, but he's been a solid defender. If Oneil Cruz and Bryan Reynolds have been playing at his level, traditionally a first baseman playing the outfield's level, I don't think this outfield defense would be an issue right now, but they aren't. Reynolds' throw in the 8th inning on Sunday couldn't hit the cutoff man. It was just a bad throw. Cost the Pirates a run. You could argue cost them the game because that meant that Don Kelly went to Urquidy in the 9th instead of going for the save with Gregory Soto. The bullpen is my real takeaway from this series. Because I look at Dennis Santana, who did have a hiccup on Saturday. He did blow the save. But that's really been the first time he's blunk. I don't know what the correct past participle is. We're going to go with blinked. First time he blunk. Blunk sounds right. Blunked. First time he blunked all season, pretty much. And you know what? Protecting a 1-run lead on the road, leaving where it has to go to extras, not to excuse it, but it's if you're going to have that outing, there are worse ways to blow a save. Pirates still ended up winning. Gregory Soto has been used in that 8th and 9th inning. We saw him go into the 7th inning to clean up a mess. He's been solid. Isaac Matson, he's been pretty good. I really like what Yohan Ramirez is doing. Now, I get that there is a little bit of a lot of a wild card in him of can he just throw strikes? But I mean this in a weird way. If it is the bottom of the 10th inning and you're on the road and they're getting the inherited runner on second base and you absolutely cannot give up a run, Yohan is low-key kind of like the perfect pitcher for that situation. Because if he walks a batter, it's like, well, I mean, you set up the double play and he's going to be hitting you with just this outrageous stuff that maybe you could get that weak contact. Maybe you could get those whiffs and those strikeouts. And like, it's what he did Saturday is one of the best feel-good moments, I think, of the season for a player so far. Just someone who has really had trials and tribulations throughout his career, but has always had the stuff, has always had a really good attitude, has always been willing to work. And to see him have results like that, you just feel good for the person. And you know what? He's in a position that he might be emerging as a leverage arm for this team. And we talked, coming into the year, like, hey, there needs to be some people in like this either AAA or middle relief group that you have to feel comfortable going to them in the 7th or the 8th inning if one of the guys like Dennis Santana or Gregory Soto aren't ready to go. And that's what he's done so far. And I think there's a little runway that he could be an important part of this bullpen. I don't know if it's enough. Because I look at what Justin Lawrence has done this year. The sweeper has not been in the zone enough, and the fastballs are getting hit. No whiffs on either his sinker or his four-seamer on Sunday. 2 runs come in. I know the second one is because of Bryan Reynolds' throw. But even then, that would have been still a run. It still would have been chipping away at the lead. Didn't have a good outing on Saturday. He's had a couple rough outings so far this year. And there was a lot of optimism around him in the organization coming into the season. A lot of people who thought like, yeah, if it is going to be more closer by committee-ish, where it's not just Dennis in the 9th, Justin Lawrence, he could be one of those guys in the 9th. Obviously, right now, he's not in a great position to do that. But with how Don Kelly managed the bullpen on Friday and Saturday, kind of had to go to him in the 8th. And this is not a criticism of how Don Kelly managed his bullpen Friday and Saturday. He managed those games to win. He managed those games with the mindset of if we win and we have a problem on Sunday on how do we bridge, the 6th, 7th, 8th innings, we'll cross that bridge whenever we get there. Got there, it didn't really work out because the Pirates were in a position that the first reliever out of the bullpen was a starting pitcher, Hunter Barco, and the last pitcher out of the bullpen was Urquidy, another starting pitcher. So they're in a position where they're kind of playing one reliever down by having two starting pitching, long relievers in there. They're playing one leverage or middle relief arm down. And whenever you see, a Justin Lawrence struggle, they're not really in a position to have that. I look at Indianapolis, I don't see a easy fix. I don't really see an easy fix just, composition wise. Like, okay, you option Barco. Who do you call up? Bidwa, I think he's going to be really solid going on. He's struggling a little bit so far. Evan Sisk is striking out a ton of batters at the moment. Maybe he could be a candidate. Um, but then again, I think we kind of got a taste of Evan Sisk if he's more middle relief than, a fix here. There is no easy fix, I think. Even like the Wilbur Hotels, the Antoine Kellys, they're going through some stuff in AAA right now, which is fine. They're going up to a higher level. They're, sorting out some stuff. But the bullpen was always going to have some question marks. And whenever you have guys like Mlodzinski, who is a reliever for so long and doesn't have a long inning, history, and Braxton Ashcraft, who has the injury history, and you have to worry about his workload. And you've got Bubba Chandler, who is having control issues right now, and he's working through his stuff right now. It's a good young rotation. I don't think it's a rotation that you could count on 6 or 7 every night from them. You're going to need that middle relief. And they don't really have it right now. I think some people can emerge. Justin Lawrence could put it together. Like the sweeper, whenever he is hitting that outside part of the zone against right-handers, whenever he's hitting it to his glove side, it's nasty. It's a pretty unhittable pitch. But he also either has to throw it in the zone a whole lot more or find a way for the fastball to get by hitters. It can't be a show me fastball. Whenever the Pirates claimed him off waivers last year, I had a league source reach out to me like, you know what? I think this is a really good pickup. If the Pirates do this and this, I'm not going to divulge anything here. This and this, like I think they could, turn him into a really solid guy. He has that April. I reach out to that same league source. I'm like, hey, are the Pirates doing this? I do a story if they are. He's like, I don't see it. I don't see them any changes really. So, yeah. And this was a guy, like I said, they got off waivers because he wasn't going to make the Rockies bullpen. There's a really good breaking ball there. The fastball needs to be in the zone. And he's in a position that I don't know if you could go to him in the 7th or 8th in leverage spots unless it's so clear that like Matson and Santana, who both threw 20-something pitches and have been used a lot lately, are unavailable. It was a good series win. I feel like I've harped more on the negatives than the positives. Anytime you go into Wrigley and win 2 out of 3, regardless of how good your team is or how in turmoil the Cubs are, that's a good series. That's a good weekend. And I look at this National League Central, and it's way, way too soon to look like this. But I'm going to just to take a peek. This division does not look that much of a juggernaut. It doesn't have that real Goliath waiting. Like, I still think the Brewers, until there's the E, they're the favorites to win the division. But, Yelich might be banged up, might be missing some time. The pitching has obviously had some stuff there. It's like it might not be enough. This might be the year where the Brewers stumble a little bit. This Cubs team has injuries on the pitching side. The Cardinals, they're not really going to be competing, in my opinion. They just had too much of an offseason sell-off. They're going to try to rebuild. The Reds, the offense has been an issue for them. Like you look at this team and it's like, you know what? There is a path. This is the best path the Pirates have had to contend for the division since maybe 2015. If you want to argue 2018, I'll hear that too. But I think in earnest, 2015 or 2016. There's a path to doing that. And it's why, even though the Pirates are leaving Chicago, winners of 2 of 3, sometimes it's those stray losses where you had a 5-0 lead and end up blowing it that you think back to at the end of the year. So yeah, first real test, passing grade, but with a little bit of an raised eyebrow of, let's see how much of an issue this bullpen and this defense is going to be. Thank you so much for listening to Offbeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you find a fine podcast, or check us out on YouTube if you want to see my smiling face. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.